Hello, everyone. Jill and I are honored to welcome you to the celebration of Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
We have a wonderful program in store that reflects the depth and the diversity of this community, whose achievements, cultures, and contributions have enriched America across the generations. You'll hear from artists, advocates, and public servants whose courageous family journeys tell the story of America.
And this celebration embodies a simple truth of the very idea of America, that every person is created equal and deserves to be treated equally throughout their lives. But as we know, the truth has too often been elusive for far too many. While the AA and NHPI communities are on the front lines of helping us beat this pandemic, Asian Americans in particular are on the front lines of a rise in hate crimes and xenophobia that continues to stain the very soul of our nation. It's wrong. It's un-American. We must all stand together and lift up the dignity, safety, and equality of all people.
And as we do, let us all find strength and joy in each other and in the nation we love. Let us imagine the possibilities of all that lies ahead with light and hope leading the way.
Together, let's do the hard work ahead of beating the pandemic, building our economy back better, and advancing racial equity across our nation. Together, let us be who we are at our best as fellow Americans, as the United States of America. There's nothing we can't do if we do it together. God bless you all, and enjoy this wonderful celebration.
The local Sikh community is mourning tonight as news of their loved ones reaches family and friends.
Finding out 4 members of Central Indiana's Sikh community were among those killed last night at the FedEx ground facility has sent shockwaves through their community.
When I look at the AAPI community, I think a lot of it is framed by what's happened in the past year, from the shootings in Atlanta as well as Indianapolis.
Sikh Americans have experienced a disproportionate amount of hate and violence due to our articles of faith, and particularly the turban, and people not understanding who we are. This is really only part of our story. There is so much more to the Sikh American experience, and so much more I would want people to know.
The first thing that anybody notices about me is the fact that I'm wearing a turban. And the turban is very special for me because it signifies equality.
Sikhi comes with such a richness. It's an embodiment of wanting to enact a more just world for all people.
It's so critical in the Sikh faith, organizing around equality, standing up for others. We see Congressman Dalip Singh Sand in the 1950s as a Sikh American congressman, first Asian American congressman, who championed farm workers' rights and civil rights.
But I had faith in the American sense of justice and fair play.
Members of the Sikh community are standing in solidarity with Black Lives Matter.
Service is a big part of our faith. It's a big tenet of our faith. We call it seva. It's to be of service to community.
We see most recently during COVID, Sikh Americans were, instrumental in feeding those in need. We don't see it as an act of charity per se. It's a fundamental duty. It's an honor to serve. And I think that's what inspires our activism.
There's lots of issues that divide people. My day-to-day looks like, how do we address that locally? How do we build peace locally?
The Sikh American community came to the United States in the early 1800s. You saw it from day one. They were discriminated against.
We have always historically built on allies from the foundation of Sikhi 500 years ago till now. And so with the full saying, Nanak Naam Chardi Kala Tere Bani Sarbat Tapla, really what it means is to be relentlessly optimistic for the peace and prosperity of all mankind. To make sure that you are showing up for communities outside of your own community. When you think about the Black Lives Matter movement, showing up for Black families, showing up for those that have been marginalized historically throughout this country. People who might not have a voice. And for me, I think that is the true embodiment of a Sikh.
Good evening. We hope you have enjoyed this celebration. Tonight, we have been reminded that the story of Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders is the story of America herself. It is the story of courage and creativity, the story of strength and resilience and leadership.
Chinese Americans built the Transcontinental Railroad. Filipino Americans organized farm workers. Japanese American soldiers fought bravely in World War II, even as others were being forced into internment camps. AA and NHPI frontline workers are saving lives today. This history is profound.
And we also know that the community has felt so much pain over this past year. COVID-19 has brought so much loss of lives, loss of livelihoods, loss of normalcy. And as anti-Asian violence has been on the rise, a loss of safety and security. And I've said it before, we all must agree, a harm against any one of us is a harm against all of us.
And when we join together to root out hate, to stop violence, we lift up our communities. We lift up our entire country.
That's exactly what we must do now.
One last thing. As we are talking about the contributions of the AA NHPI community, there is one very important person we have to mention, your mom.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, my mother is very important to me and our family. My mother was 19 when she arrived in the United States from India to pursue her dream of curing cancer. And she built a full and wonderful life here. She made significant advances in the fight to end breast cancer, and she raised my sister and me to be proud of our heritage. And I feel that pride every single day when I see the creativity and courage, the resilience and strength, the leadership of so many. So thank you all, and have a good night.